The ground war, the grinder meets the gauntlet. The battle for the Donbas, particularly around the strategic axis of Pokrovsk and Konstantinivka, has become the crucible of the entire war. It is here that the two primary ground doctrines are clashing in their most intense and revealing form. 1.1. The Konstantinivka ambush, a masterclass in active defense. The successful Ukrainian ambush near Konstantinivka is one of the most significant tactical events detailed in this intelligence. It is a textbook example of how a smaller, smarter force can defeat a larger, more powerful one through meticulous preparation and tactical brilliance. It is the gauntlet that Ukraine has laid for the Russian grinder. A. Deconstructing the kill zone. The Ukrainian success was not a matter of luck. It was the result of a multi-layered integrated defensive system designed to systematically dismantle a mechanized assault. The plot: to lure a large Russian armored column into a pre-prepared, multi-layered kill zone where its numerical and armored superiority would be negated and turned into a liability. The layers of the gauntlet: initial obstacles, the use of trenches, minefields, anti-tank ditches, dragon's teeth, and concrete blocks served the initial purpose of slowing the Russian advance and, crucially, forcing them off predictable paths like roads, channeling the attack. By creating these obstacles, the Ukrainian forces channeled the Russian armored vehicles into pre-selected areas that were already zeroed in by Ukrainian artillery and mined with remotely detonated explosives. The trap is sprung. As the Russian engineering vehicles were destroyed and the motorcycle troops neutralized, the main armored column was forced off-road. This is the moment the trap was sprung. The vehicles bogged down in mined fields, became congested, and could not maneuver. They transformed from a fearsome assault force into a static collection of targets, integrated firepower. This is where the Ukrainian integration of assets became decisive. The trapped Russian column was then systematically destroyed by a combination of conventional artillery, pre-sighted and raining down shells on the congested area, FPV kamikaze UAVs acting as cheap, precision-guided anti-tank missiles targeting the vulnerable top armor of the vehicles, remote-controlled sniper positions picking off vehicle crews and exposed infantry, deep defense special forces likely operating on the flanks to call in fire and engage targets of opportunity. B. The strategic intention and implications. The intention. The intention was not just to stop the attack, but to annihilate it. The destruction of 18 armored vehicles and the infliction of approximately 200 casualties in a single 3-hour engagement is a catastrophic loss for a Russian brigade-level assault. This is a victory of tactical intelligence over brute force. The implication: this proves that Ukraine has developed a highly effective and repeatable model for defeating Russian mechanized assaults. It shows that Russia's reliance on massed armor, a core tenet of its military doctrine, can be systematically countered. This success sends a powerful message to both the Russian command, that their tactics are costly and predictable, and to Ukraine's Western partners, that their support is being used to achieve stunningly effective results. 1.2. The Battle for Pokrovsk, the strategic fulcrum. While Konstantinivka was a tactical victory, the broader strategic battle is for Pokrovsk. The concentration of 110,000 Russian troops shows that this is Russia's main effort on the entire front. The Russian plot, the grinder doctrine. The plot remains unchanged: to use overwhelming mass to capture the city. Pokrovsk is the prize because, as the intelligence notes, it is a crucial supply and railway route and the backbone of the entire Ukrainian defense in Donetsk. Its fall would likely trigger a collapse of the front. The Ukrainian success: stalling the grinder. The fact that Russia, despite its superior numbers, has not been able to seize Pokrovsk is a testament to the success of Ukraine's defensive strategy. They have turned the approaches to the city into a series of smaller gauntlets like the one at Konstantinivka, making every meter of advance incredibly costly for Russia. The strategic impact of the Sumy Front. The intelligence that Ukraine's stabilization of the Sumy Front prevented Russia from deploying 50,000 troops to other fronts is critical. This is a major strategic success for Ukraine. By forcing Russia to keep a massive force tied down in the north, Ukraine is preventing Russia from achieving the overwhelming local superiority it needs to finally break through at Pokrovsk. This is a masterful use of strategic positioning to influence the main battle. Part 2, the war for the skies and the strategic rear. While the ground war grinds on, Ukraine is prosecuting a parallel and equally important war against Russia's strategic assets, aiming to dismantle its ability to project air power and wage war from a safe distance. 2.1. The Unraveling Doctrine in Action. The Ukrainian attacks on the Marinoka airbase and the S-400 system are further proof of the coherent unraveling doctrine we have previously analyzed, targeting the S-400Is. The public release of video showing the precise destruction of the S-400's key radar components is a masterstroke of information warfare. The plot: to not only physically degrade Russia's premier air defense system, but to psychologically shatter its aura of invincibility. The intention: proof of concept. The video provides undeniable proof of Ukraine's capability. It moves the claim from unverified report to documented fact. Military impact. As we've analyzed, destroying the 92 N2E and 91 N6E radars effectively blinds the entire system. It creates a safe corridor for Ukrainian aircraft and drones to operate. Psychological impact. It tells the Russian military that their most expensive and sophisticated air defense system is vulnerable to Ukrainian drones. This creates deep paranoia and forces Russia to question the security of all its high-value assets. Targeting the Marinoka swords. The attack on Su-34 bombers 900 kilometers from the Ukrainian border is a demonstration of strategic reach. The plot: to hold Russia's strategic bomber fleet at risk, no matter how far they are from the front line. The intention: to disrupt and degrade the primary platform used to drop guided bombs on Ukrainian positions. This is a direct measure to save Ukrainian lives on the front line. The reference to a previous spiderweb operation targeting multiple bases suggests this is not a one-off attack but a sustained campaign. 2.2. The resource war. The capture of the Shevchenko lithium mine. The Russian capture of Shevchenko in Donetsk is a critical development that underscores the resource dimension of the conflict. The plot: to seize control of Ukraine's valuable mineral resources, specifically the lithium deposits near the town. The intention: as analyzed in our previous report, the intention is twofold: to deny Ukraine a vital future economic asset, and to incorporate that asset into Russia's own resource portfolio. The fact that the area saw strong Ukrainian resistance shows that Kyiv was fully aware of the mine's strategic importance. Russia's capture of this area is a significant step in its goal of controlling the industrial and resource-rich heartland of the Donbas. Part 3: the diplomatic facade and the cynicism of realpolitik. The military conflict is being waged against a backdrop of complex and often cynical diplomatic maneuvering. 3.1 Putin's peace offensive, the Istanbul Gambit. President Putin's statement that Russia is ready for new peace talks, potentially in Istanbul, must be viewed with extreme skepticism. The plot: this is a recurring diplomatic ploy designed to achieve several objectives without conceding anything on the battlefield. The intention: dividing the West. The offer is aimed at the peace factions in Europe and the US, providing them with ammunition to argue that Russia is reasonable and that Ukraine is the one prolonging the war. Providing diplomatic cover, it creates a facade of diplomatic activity that masks the reality of Russia's continued military aggression. The very same day this offer is being floated, Russian missiles are killing civilians in Sumy and causing massive power outages in Kherson. The actions completely contradict the words. Shifting the blame by expressing hope that dialogue can bridge the significant differences, Putin is setting a trap. He knows his core demands, recognition of annexed territories, are unacceptable to Kyiv. When Ukraine rejects the talks based on these preconditions, Putin can portray Kyiv as the obstacle to peace. The humanitarian gesture, the offer to return 3,000 bodies, is a calculated sweetener designed to make the offer seem more genuine and humane, even as Russia continues to create more Ukrainian casualties. 3.2. The U.S. and war crimes, a chilling signal. The White House recommendation to close war crime investigation programs, including some in Ukraine, is a deeply cynical and alarming development. The plot. This is likely a cost-cutting measure driven by an America First isolationist worldview that sees these programs as a drain on U.S. resources with little direct benefit. The intention and implication, the intention, to reduce U.S. financial and political entanglement in foreign conflicts. The implication, this sends a chilling signal to both victims and perpetrators around the world. It tells perpetrators, like those in the Russian military, that the international community's commitment to accountability is shallow and can be revoked. It tells victims that their quest for justice is subject to the political whims of Washington. It is a major blow to the concept of international justice and a de facto green light for impunity. If this recommendation is followed, it will be a significant moral and strategic victory for the Kremlin. Grand synthesis, the war's mature, multi-domain equilibrium. The intelligence paints a picture of a conflict that has settled into a mature, if brutal, multi-domain equilibrium. There is no single front but a series of interconnected battles being waged simultaneously. The ground war equilibrium. Russia has the advantage in mass and is making slow, grinding territorial gains. Ukraine has the advantage in tactical innovation and is able to inflict disproportionate casualties, preventing a Russian breakthrough. This has resulted in a high-intensity war of attrition, with neither side able to achieve a decisive victory on the ground. The air war asymmetry. Ukraine, unable to compete with the Russian Air Force conventionally, is winning the asymmetric air war. Its drone campaign is successfully degrading high-value Russian assets at a favorable cost-exchange ratio. This is a critical counterbalance to Russia's ground superiority, the resource war attrition. Russia is slowly but surely winning the resource war by physically capturing Ukraine's valuable industrial and mineral assets. This is a long-term strategic victory that will cripple any future Ukrainian state. The diplomatic war of narratives. Both sides are engaged in a constant war of narratives. Putin uses the language of peace to mask the reality of war. Ukraine uses its tactical successes and public release of evidence to maintain domestic morale and international support. This is a holistic, total war. The fate of the soldiers in the trenches of Pokrovsk is directly linked to the success of a drone operator targeting a radar in Crimea, which is in turn linked to the political debates in Washington over funding for war crimes tribunals. To understand this conflict, one must understand all of its interconnected domains. The side that can best integrate its strategy across all these domains, military, technological, economic, and diplomatic, will be the one to ultimately prevail in this long and arduous struggle.